Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Bean here, and today I'm coming at you with my July wrap up. So this is a video that I debated filming, and actually up to this morning I debated putting this together with my August wrap up, since I just haven't been reading a lot of books as of late. In fact, according to Goodreads, I am 25 books behind on my reading goal. So yeah, we'll see how this goes. But I did want to go through these books, and per usual, I have my monthly stats to start us off with. Over the month of July, I managed to read 6 books. 4 of them I physically owned, and then 2 of them were actually audiobooks that I read. I read a total of 2,050 pages. The longest book I read was 592 pages, while the shortest was 192 pages. So 400 pages apart, which was the length of 2 of the books I read. Coincidences. As far as rankings go, I actually ended up giving 4 of these books 5 stars, 1 a 4.5 star, and 1 a 4 star. So overall it was I enjoyed the books that I read this month. I just didn't read a lot, so it's a thing. As far as pages go, 2 of the books were under 200 pages. 1 was between 201 and 300 pages. 2 were between 301 and 400 pages, and 1 was between 501 and 600 pages. The authors, 3 of them were from the US, 1 was from the UK or Ireland, and 2 of them were from Japan. And 2 of the books had an author from Japan. They happen to be the same author, but still. As far as author gender goes, 1 was written by a male, 2 were written by females, 1 was written by a combo, and 2 were written by, I'm not exactly sure if it's male or female. I think male, but I'm not positive. So I just said unknown. As far as genre goes, 5 were fiction and 1 was a nonfiction. I read a nonfiction this month, guys. Look at me go. For the fiction, 2 were contemporary and 2 were fantasy and 1 was a mystery. While for the nonfiction, it was a true crime story. So I'm getting back into things that I intensely enjoy. For age, it was pretty evenly spread. 3 were young adult and 3 were adult books. So those are my stats here for today. I do still own all 4 of the books that I owned at the beginning of the month. So yeah, and only 1 was a new release. So it happens. It's fine. I'm okay with it. So yeah, let's hop right into it. The first book that I finished in the month of July was Bodies from the Library 2, Forgotten Stories of Mystery and Suspense by the Queens of Crime and Other Masters of Golden Age Detection. This is edited by Tony Medawar, but I do have this down as a multiple author because there are many authors that are used in this. Some of the writers included in this set of short stories include Helen Simpson, Ethelena White, E.C.R. Lorac, Christiana Brand, Agatha Christie, and Dorothy L. Slayers, and S.S. Vine, Jonathan Latimer, Clayton Rawson, Cyril Allington, and Anthony and Peter Schaefer, who write as Peter Anthony. But it has very, very unique and very different stories. If you enjoy mystery stories, whether it's cozy mystery or true crime or the heavy mystery stories, I highly recommend these. These are the These are kind of where mysteries started, and not only do you get to hear these stories, but you also get to learn a little bit about the history of mystery writing. So I thought that was super interesting. I really enjoyed it, and I ended up giving it a 5 out of 5 because I love the series and I do plan on continuing it. The next book that I read is the new release of the month, and that was The Adventure Zone: The Crystal Kingdom by Clint Griffin, Justin, and Travis McElroy, with art by Carrie Peich. So this is the 4th book in the Adventure Zone graphic novel series. I have been a fan of this podcast for years now, and since they came out with the graphic novels, I have been slowly collecting them, and I am so excited. I'm a little disappointed because this one did come in a hardcover, and now it doesn't match my other three, but I'm over it already. So this whole thing is basically a D&D campaign that three brothers and their dad do live on a podcast after having basically zero experience with D&D. And in the end, as one of them quotes, so this is the story of four dorks who play D&D so hard they make themselves cry. And as someone who's currently playing D&D, I can sympathize. Like, you get really into it, and it's a lot of fun, and I absolutely love this story. This group of guys is so much fun. I ended up giving this a 5 out of 5, per usual. I always give this a 5 out of 5 because I love this one so much. I will say Crystal Kingdom is not my favorite arc. It isn't my least favorite arc, but it's still, I love how they did the art in this one, and I love how they adjusted the story to fit the graphic novel way. So it's very interesting, and I really enjoyed it. All right, the next book that I read is one that has been on my TBR for quite a while. I did finally get to it, and I'm very excited that I finally read it, and that is Down Comes the Night by Allison Saft. Now, this book follows a girl named Ren Sutherland who is a medical witch. So she has a magic that allows her to heal people, or at least figure out what's wrong with them, and then she just has the stubbornness to try and heal basically everyone she meets. She gets in trouble because she's in the army and her country is at war with another country, and she ends up healing one of the enemy soldiers after her commanding officer ends up injuring him on accident, and she goes to heal him and he escapes. And so she's actually cast out to an abbey where she runs away and is offered a job at a castle for a very famous person who's kind of been indifferent to the war. It seems like he hasn't really done anything for it. But as soon as she arrives at this castle, Ren is immediately suspicious because her arch enemy, basically the one of the leaders from the opposing side, is there injured, and she has been hired to heal him. Now, this was supposed to be part haunted house, and honestly, the haunted house part of it felt a little bit forced to me. The romance was adorable. I absolutely loved the romance. As far as the haunted house, though, I did see where this was trying to be a thriller, fantasy-wise. Unfortunately for me, it just didn't quite reach that part. It felt more adventure, maybe a little bit of suspense type of thing. It also didn't help that I predicted quite a bit of this book, and turns out I was right about many things, unfortunately. But I still absolutely loved this book. It was so well done. It was intriguing. It was a really quick read, as in, I felt like I was flying through this book as I read it. It did not take me long to read it all. The only reason it did take me multiple days is because I was only reading on my lunch break, which was only half an hour. So, yeah. Otherwise, I probably would have been able to read this in one sitting. It was that easy of a read. Like, it's just, some of the chapters are super short, and it was very well done, although my copy is now broken, and it makes me sad. But I highly recommend this book, honestly. I think it is very well done, and especially if you like kind of the early Halloween-esque kind of styles. It's a military with romance and slight hauntings, and there's magic, and honestly, there was a lot going on, but I really, really enjoyed it. So I ended up giving this a 4.5 out of 5. The next book that I read was my second audiobook of the month, and that is The Stranger Beside Me, The Shocking Inside Story of Serial Killer Ted Bundy by Anne Rule. I'm really surprised I've never read this. I will admit to being basic in the point that I absolutely love serial killer information, and I enjoy reading about them, not for the enjoyment of what happened, but because of the human element behind it and what makes these people tick. And the fact that, especially Ted Bundy, he seemed like such a normal person before that, and no one really knew or realized it until it was too late. It fascinates me. And weirdly, I don't know how to put it without sounding weird, but yeah. I ended up listening to the audiobook of this, and it was a very difficult book actually to get through at points. It was very intense. For those of you who don't know, Ann Rule was actually a friend of Ted Bundy's, and she didn't realize he was a serial killer until he called her up one day and said, "I'm going to be in the news." And she just went, what are you talking about? They actually used to work at a crisis center together for depressed and suicidal. For anyone who was suicidal could call into the crisis center, and they were the ones who answered the phone and kept everyone calm. So it's very interesting that he worked there and then later went on to rape and murder a bunch of women. So it's so weird to me, and I'm still kind of wrapping my head around some parts of it, but this book was so interesting and so well done. She is a journalist, and this book definitely is written by a journalist, but she also doesn't romanticize any of what he did or any of the things that he told her. She also talks a little bit about what was happening to her at the time and how that affected how she heard about Ted Bundy. And so it's very interesting. I do recommend this book if you are interested in true crime. If you're not, don't read it. I'm not saying read this book if you don't enjoy true crime, but I watch true crime videos on YouTube as well. So, I mean, go with what you want. I ended up giving this a 4 out of 5. It was good. It was very interesting. It was weird, though, at the same time. So I'm not exactly sure how to rate it. It's hard for me to rate nonfiction books, especially biographies or autobiographies, because they are about a person's life, and it's hard to rate someone's life. That's kind of a weird concept. But as far as readability and listenability, this did get a 4 out of 5 from me. It was well done. I think it was a lot. It was a lot of stuff going on here. I do think I will pick up more of what Ann Rule has written. She's written about other serial killers as well. So I think she does write very well about serial killers. So I did get a little lost at a couple different points, but it's also because I was listening to the audiobook and I was doing things while I was listening. So there's always the chance that you get distracted or you're not fully paying attention. And that's just kind of a side effect of listening to audiobooks all the time. The next 2 books that I read, I'm going to put them together because they are part of the same series, and that is Spy X Family Volume 3 and Volume 4. Now, these 2 books, this series is absolutely adorable. So, this series follows a spy named Twilight who is sent to basically try and get undercover inside a very prestigious prep school. But in order to do that, he needs to find himself a family. So he goes out and finds himself a daughter who, it turns out, he doesn't realize this, is psychic. And then when he goes around to find himself a wife, turns out she's an assassin, like a very well-known assassin. But he doesn't realize that either. And they basically form this happy little family, and it's really cute. As they try to keep going, as they try to pass as a happy family that's been married forever and all this, and it's absolutely adorable. It is a little bit typical when it comes to anime with some of the things that the characters are able to do, such as be a psychic, or for instance, they get a dog, and the dog also has special abilities, because why not? And it's really adorable, and I highly recommend this series to anybody who is into anime, or even if you're really not. I think this is a good series to start with because it's kind of ridiculous. And it's ridiculous in the best way possible, and I think it's absolutely adorable, absolutely hilarious, and both of these got a 5 out of 5 from me because I'm in love with this series. I have the 5th one, it's sitting on my desk. Alright, and that's what I have for you guys here today. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know I don't read a lot, especially lately. It's been a while since I've had a good reading month, but I am keeping it above 5 books. Generally, there are 6. There's only 4 here, so please, I'm sorry. I'm falling behind on my TBR, but everyone knows this. This is how I operate. I don't know what to tell you. I'm really not good at this whole TBR thing. But yeah, so this is what I've read. I'm actually really proud of myself for getting through several books. And yeah, that's what I got for you guys here today. So if you have any comments or anything you want to post, anything I should read next, post it down below in the comments. We'll get back to you as soon as we are able to. I sound like a voicemail right there. And until next time, we hope you guys enjoyed. We post videos every Tuesday, Thursday, and occasional Sundays. And if you want to be reminded when we post these videos, hit the little bell icon down below. We also have a bunch of channels linked down below, our Instagram along with our personal channels, so please feel free to check those out. And until next time, guys, stay safe, stay healthy, and keep reading. Bye!